In today's digital world, businesses face a constant barrage of cyber threats. Hackers are always looking for ways to exploit weaknesses in computer systems and steal valuable data. To protect themselves, businesses need a proactive approach to security. This is where vulnerability management comes in. Think of vulnerability management as a continuous cycle. It's the process of identifying, evaluating, and mitigating security risks in your systems and software. This isn't a one-time fix, but an ongoing process that's crucial for staying ahead of cyber criminals. Why is this so important? Because vulnerabilities are inevitable. Software, no matter how well designed, can have flaws. These flaws are opportunities for attackers. A robust vulnerability management program helps you find and fix these weaknesses before they can be exploited. Ignoring vulnerability management is like leaving your front door unlocked and hoping for the best. It's not a matter of if, but when an attack will occur. By taking a proactive approach, businesses can significantly reduce their risk and protect their valuable assets. The first step in vulnerability management is identifying where your weaknesses lie. This involves regularly scanning your entire IT infrastructure, including networks, systems, and applications. Think of it as a thorough security audit. Various tools and techniques can be used for vulnerability scanning. Automated vulnerability scanners are available, both commercial and open source. These tools scan systems and networks looking for known vulnerabilities. Penetration testing, or ethical hacking, is another effective method. During this phase, it's important to catalog all identified vulnerabilities, noting their severity and potential impact. The goal is to create a comprehensive inventory of weaknesses that need to be addressed. This information forms the foundation for the next stage of the lifecycle. Remember, this is not a one-time activity. New vulnerabilities are discovered all the time, and your systems are constantly changing. Regular vulnerability scanning, ideally on a scheduled basis, is essential for maintaining a strong security posture. Once you've identified your vulnerabilities, the next step is to assess the risk they pose. Not all vulnerabilities are created equal. Some pose a greater threat than others, and it's crucial to prioritize your remediation efforts. Risk assessment involves analyzing each vulnerability based on several factors. The severity of the vulnerability is key. How easily can it be exploited? What is the potential damage if it is exploited? The likelihood of exploitation is another crucial factor. For example, a critical vulnerability in a public-facing web server poses a much higher risk than a low-severity vulnerability in an internal system with limited access. By assigning risk levels to each vulnerability, you can create a prioritized list for remediation. This risk-based approach is essential for maximizing the efficiency of your vulnerability management program. By focusing on the most critical threats first, you can significantly reduce your overall risk exposure. Now that you've identified and prioritized your vulnerabilities, it's time to take action. Remediation involves implementing solutions to fix the identified security flaws in your systems and applications. This is where you address the weaknesses and strengthen your defenses. Remediation can take many forms, depending on the nature of the vulnerability. The most straightforward solution is often applying security patches. Software vendors regularly release patches to fix vulnerabilities in their products. Other times, you might need to reconfigure security settings, disable unnecessary services, or even replace outdated software. It's important to thoroughly test any remediation steps before deploying them to your production environment. This ensures that the fix doesn't introduce new problems or negatively impact system functionality. Remediation is not a one-time fix. New vulnerabilities are constantly being discovered, so it's an ongoing process. By establishing a process for timely remediation, you can stay ahead of the curve and keep your systems secure. Vulnerability management isn't a one-and-done deal. It's an ongoing cycle that requires constant vigilance and adaptation. The final, and perhaps most important stage of the life cycle is monitoring and continuous improvement. Once you've remediated vulnerabilities, you need to make sure those fixes stick. Continuous monitoring helps you detect new vulnerabilities, track the effectiveness of your remediation efforts, and identify any emerging threats. This involves regularly reviewing security logs, conducting vulnerability scans, and staying informed about the latest security threats. Think of it as a continuous feedback loop. By regularly monitoring your systems and analyzing security data, you can identify areas for improvement and refine your vulnerability management program over time. The threat landscape is constantly evolving. New vulnerabilities are discovered every day, and attackers are constantly developing new tactics. Your vulnerability management program needs to evolve as well to stay ahead of the curve. This means regularly reviewing and updating your processes, tools, and strategies to address the latest threats. Remember, cybersecurity is not a destination, it's a journey. By embracing a proactive and adaptive approach to vulnerability management, businesses can effectively mitigate risks, protect their assets,